Okay, we're gonna do an oldie with a firstie.
It uses the metamorphiction process to apply the techniques of electronic dance music to the production of words, dissolving language to mutated liquid state manipulated into new forms, borrowed, assembled, transformed. The device takes an inlet text as a starting point, which is then processed to create another text entirely, known as the outlet. This outlet is the ghost or the unconscious desire haunting the original text. Cobralingus Engine makes use of the metamorphiction process, imagines text to be a signal passed through various filter gates, each of which has a specific effect upon the language. Each gate is a different effect, producing an interim text which is transmitted further along the pathway. The words can undergo many changes until finally the outlet text is created. Filter gates start denotes that the Cobralingus device has been activated. The startup text, the initial signal on which the device will act. Control brings the text down to earth, forces language to behave itself. Decay gently breaks down the text, dissipates, and introduces corruption to the signal. Drug injects artificial stimulant into the language. Type of drug will always be specified. Enhance creates elements of beauty. Explode breaks up signal into highly disordered fragments to be used with caution. Find story forces text into the nearest possible narrative, however nonsensical. Ghost edit kills the text, calls up a ghost to haunt the language. Mix combines all elements into a single entity. Overload drastically increases image density of text to be used with caution. Play game. Mischief maker encourages craziness. Results may surprise the user. Purify loses deadly. Selects images or phrases from the text. Randomize disorders text. Parts of text may be lost or changed. Outlet the final result of the filtering process. Save denotes that the Cobralingus device has been deactivated. Start. In that I certainly haven't been shopping for any new shoes, that I certainly haven't been spreading myself around. I still only travel by foot, and by foot it's a slow climb. But I'm good at being uncomfortable, so I can't stop changing all the time. I notice that my opponent is always on the go and won't go slow so as not to focus. And I notice he'll hitch a ride with any guy, as long as they go fast from whence he came. But he's no good at being uncomfortable, so he can't stop staying exactly the same. Decay the main drag is slow. Time is pulling out ever to huff out smoke after it's been shown by. Essence left only. Something's holding back into so emerald you were having how deep out the loom, then slowly out up here you see how Japan still shows and thrills Belline ears. For tonight Tucker being show them as just being drunkism since arid Eddie walks he tells on a beach by an empress the bell harving far Surrey one time you see within Wifey crayons or area for with none.
Hmm. Step it back a bit.
Follow me, Surrey boy, then. See a novel by your pupil as we walked near there. Come fast, it's right. Car runs hard, then our wire, and he sees him so. So. Dude, I've lost my other ticket, and he knows what life. We were inside 3 minutes into Seen I. Upgoing commuter stops up halfway to San Bruno, sinking and stopping halfway, pacing sidewalk up past pier into tunnel to North Terminal above going through first ceiling up in elevator from half. To fifth up, third at 2 over an escalator slash. Through last elevator rising up. Down escalator, step Tannic 3, arriving in street at Northwest Junction. From roof after jumping east of railing on downslide after railing to building wall while his watch sounds train yields past S35. Then meet the other rail line, the in-road tunnel going dark by descending stairs, slash pass on grass sliding step goes short crosswalk in shadows, till I from proud like Polo Club place 1 now cross break gantry. By half 5 head in over where no view breaching. By 11 back away and sheet down root by from edge get the chief 5 to workplace of this night. Before lay, I unpacked into calendar near upon pit level. Here growled 1 drop down cross to 1 for whom 10 minutes so passing trains down to this midnight could unstop me under heaving after slash YTKTT up escalator WT the 6 pass over unloading tower slash ES slash 6 pass again 4-5 arrives so return C spot then exit around 6. Fort away a seat aired with sample speakers, so same floor down, same in first wall, past ceilings in with the slash while only with them. We're at for Ciasco do it same length. This slash abominable explant one. By him can divide, gained and worse slash just believe it. By if on 6, you remember now turn the gauge, when did TKK pass? The lights just stepped another 5 across cross line, he's into old hotel place. Went on a Sid foyer, it was the last. Team into a seat. They turned PRT down passage, go by street, but dark heatway. Some littles out, I've seen it pass me outside stairs above this few rooms slash. I see it point, left away. Street get into, but this odd its place comes saying corridor another into here itself there and when. Into a place where faces had are. The rest it were showed to them at same CLK that much harder row NLD time here seniors. On ground for another hotel entrance looking west. It gets darkish head out shadow I can everywhere. Watch I online now. It seems shorter. The aspired road there it seemed tall double teach at home. It seemed just it's out after like still time lads these more and come quick in my twos. In dias, chial, sup with spares, we la hard. It'll venti. Mr. Agay? Answer. The boy. As father took phone, not a stranger. Didn't me, said Lump. Yo, one never went over the switchback about when do I step up in a heartbeat slash. Of rain, don't hesitate. If they do, MJ, read me what no problem. Go all the hard parts anyway, anyhow. Purify. There were 40. 5 members of the Royal College of Brighton, and we all thought 30 hours in every month sufficient leave for ordinary home life. I said, what? The boy turned pale. I feel best because that's my face right against him. I'm acting with some of yours, one we's renewal. Some very disserved to storm. Fareway and little set. 18 the naiad of when he staked before did of in terror. Any art of Luberle Monadas manage would now but find end now. Elva Canner hang. In by alter digown, go fi peel up their scenes and highs of sternesty. I left my look with you. Now this moment and others is whose hole. What's there's in place. How do it side be? One hope with so could it no Sean. Idea of you defense so trade one an idea of the they see and slash who's be to find all parts good. He one doesn't excite try be a sembi no from an R row that was in the low here before never so ever such hash teach and slash from outside calm once night you can D2. Though Alfie will need he of my sies there, but omen ILD say it to let you pusilo. This carnival. J slash you'll JT that it says a small I realize D I am trade that away we tie. And D not all the feather in there. And fui the name. He's in ring, I is still one BL con one of one. Distant I like why we fury force DT time if it do you may fly be walk with this spell that's there. Oh. And did you ever see them piano? Rolla to T live is new for this you one let it go no. All slash as an on to it says. Red but making down rusty years where else once through before one into our own other addicts so fall that they are any stuff good surf for to see by how are you Beatrice be at the underage then tea is yet done one more we wrestle body never know con one the sigil of wonders at the thought, but it may proofs. The item of our yes I is yet like not been far being where was amber by, as you think. QNNC ATP high ad y'all use but us and not see will move for twice so just going IH 11 I find story 12 real. In a Stephen KY hash 46 and X5 X said X J minus 1 free J minus J's 2 A1 B that is EC and O to the Roman 2 when you 60 yeah they actually 1 12 of EVs JR and 8 ion 4 and then 2 of our VZIL ZRT on 4 you are deal time. Wait, play you Sam 40 EPG 7 face 6 first 7 XO G1 4 skew is it. Say you have 1 way 0 assist and if it's a chip. Breezy to Hawaii QZ prosthetic CI5 R plus CU4U X7 Gen 10 WV8 and my LQIJ my team 1YLX9 3 TKT and 18 Masters Jaguia no KJ yeah. X24 just see when I write Hawaii with K6A CDM C44 slash she was able to and it is and 200 this T0 when the LACX literate Tierman 2 THS split D3x backslash L3 equals 2. Roman frequency L. Decrypt XST hash 4 by R hash 0 XSTR. Inside. Tin 1 I backslash Q double L slash percentage X slash 7 dash 7 and X 6 and dial to the AM LV1 9 key L1 4 crit 64 so me afraid is just focus me PU P1 51 7 lose after B to reach it to see who's B and J 3 I of you. I wonder who's 6 and the Kijiki night now. The J2 equals BJ3 B2 gets a KR CT of V0 X 4 slash 1 R. D we're Roman 6 GT's K. No Roman 11 2 RQ1 RX in XL equals 4 plus NNCUD 2 dash 0 TV 4 plus 2 2 BTD. Yeah, it's a new exactly. ATB TJ B2B and B2 B2Q1R1 LFA year Z and 2 RVA 0 Y. Go steady spot. 70 0 6 wait 0 1 0 PP CSM D1L D6 3P B W tilde JK HK WCT and J V QP JJ 7 ID 7 YCX GTs 4 XV PQ slash P next and EP3 PK Ghost edit Ghost at NPC WVJ5K and XQV5K 1R time DVT especially the fabricated free and send you be I think QV but 6 10 VJ 7 BJLM 3 KB comes me and 7 W series with FNW Solid memory app console app NPC asterisk UVJ KO to KPK QJ slash BCTK TK etc plus KK slash YRMK GVJ 9 QN mash flag QR EQQ 1KQ EJPK and MGP. My engineer page Susan K4 GP D6 EXGG with QVGCM QV2V TTM BDs receive a complicity movie KQ QISP of defrag memory defrag and basic stress KJ and KOI2KIP PSQJ slash BCTK TJ etc person KK double slash YRM KGDJ 9 DJ QNM mash lag QR EQQ 1KQ BJQK and then GP Point to GM BTK season K4 GK BB6 years GG QVGCM QV2V TTM BBs C for complicity BKQ KYSP of The first thing I noticed was that the ghost edit had changed my name to G. Oh, and given me a new icon. The second thing I noticed was that I'd been logged out of the game. I sat there for a moment, staring at the screen. My mind raced. I could go back in. What would happen if I did? Would it just start all over again? Or would they have made some changes while I wasn't looking? And even if I wanted to go ahead, How would I get back into the game without an account number? I tried logging in with the password I'd used when I started, but nothing happened. Then I tried using the password for my old account, but I got a message saying that it didn't match. I was starting to panic. What if this was a trap? What if they were trying to trick me into giving up my password so they could hack into my computer? Or worse, what if they knew where I live now and were going to come after me? Suddenly, my parents were at the door. I picked up the game and put it on pause before hiding behind a curtain. When I heard them call, "Can we use the game?" I answered with a password, which caused the whole system to restart. I jumped through the screen, using the force field to shield me as I passed, then hopped out the window and took off running down the street. That night, my father watched TV and I played on my own, except when he decided he needed to get another bowl of chili from the cabinet under the stove. In at my face, explode mouth, app, honey, said my mother at about 11. He started. I didn't hear you come in. So what are you doing on that machine? We were watching television together. The screen showed my face as I turned off my bedroom light, made sure it was completely dark, and took my position behind one of our 2 bushes outside. We had them trained to hide a second exit from each bedroom. They'd grown so close to the house over the years that my mother insisted they give us the kind of protection and say would chili bowl and making love. Effect 202 FC RTQI Moto Beautiful 6 yeah, thank you. 17 C4RT PFCI 5NT UKCV Deep fried completed. Added information. Login name to for today. Reset account. I grabbed my comm and slid through the open door. Once in the hallway, I swiveled around and peeked into the kitchen where I saw my parents talking quietly in front of the game. They were sitting on opposite sides of a plastic chili bowl with their heads together. I quickly ran back to the couch. I heard the slosh of munching respective chili mouth. This was more like it. Drunk for Giatal, suddenly a thought crossed my mind. I had an idea. If my account was still enabled, I might be able to get them involved by asking them what they knew. So I typed, "Hey guys." Then, "What are you doing?" My father glanced at my mom and gave me a reassuring smile as if this was normal conversation between the 2 of us. I typed, "Tell me." The words appeared next to his face before the game flashed back to black. This was more like it. I continued the conversation for a few seconds, but there wasn't really anything more I could think of to say. When my parents turned their attention back to the game, I scooted my butt all the way down and continued watching without anyone noticing me. Oh, yes. Oh, se vieron veras. BMBG Fiber DK slash you wanna JX left C freedom with each character is a super compressed nodule of liquid communication. And it in K and fell one the free G. Session to I. This has been 3 plus 1. The 0 you get case of 2 56 I want to get there. Really else to be here. If you wanted to compress a couple billion of these tiny nodules so that each nodule was about 30 microseconds long and still retain the information in its original form, then there would only be half an atom between each, and you could pack billions into your storage media one go. Also, there's a lot more code here than you need for my deconstructed thoughts. And 2 J72 BT equals 6A asterisk. Hi, and number me GY. B gas 60 B9B or Y7B. Exposition if you wanted to compress a couple billion of these tiny nodules so that each nodule was about 30 microseconds long and still retain the information in its original form, then there would only be half an atom between each, and you could pack billions into your storage media at one go. Also, there's a lot more code here than you need for my deconstructed thoughts. An MC2QW hash. My stomach cramped at the sudden turn in the game, and I bent over double. The reason was immediately clear. One of the evil angels had appeared from nowhere and blocked our entrance to the hallway. This is a sure way to make me puke if it lasts too long. Luckily, the pause mode ended quickly, and there was only one demon left standing in the kitchen. His back was to my father while he searched through the fridge to get another bowl of chili. We didn't even have to wait this time, as the two combatants moved right to each other and began trading punches. It didn't look too fair, but we weren't losing anything. Activation Relu Deco RTG Getty Kinity 1 PYRTN and Cuddle. At this point, my heart was in my mouth as I typed out those letters on my screen in my first post. Whole hell had been unleashed, and if I made it through the day without being discovered, then my mother would not hear from me ever again. I hastily typed "call the police," followed by a quick query about our protection funds, which I saw glinting in the corner of my eye, but then stopped it as something else caught my eye. It's much easier if you just blow the text off my screen. If I could simply hit Alt plus CNTRL, I might be able to rewind a few seconds or maybe jump into the game a little faster. I guess it should make me feel nervous, since the entire computer can only do one of those things at once. But that didn't seem to be as easy as my mind suggested it would. Whatever it took to break through these fears, it appeared that typing in an arbitrarily structured string would have to do. It goes thusly. Expose 0 free and 2. Expose free and EVW. 0 basic boom. You reaching 4 free G7. At a glance, it looked like gibberish with extra M's and random backspacing at the end. Then it hit me that it's a perfectly legitimate command to go backwards, and at any rate there was nothing special about it. So why bother going through the exercise? So I simply typed in what was before and after it in reverse order, expecting no response. But this time something strange happened. I'm certain it did. As if the pause mode hadn't taken up enough of my concentration, all sorts of crazy events were beginning to happen on my screen, only half seen by my peripheral vision. But they definitely involved a hand reaching across the keyboard at an amazing speed and grabbing hold of my mother's wrist. But then he let go, and as I attempted to watch, I actually saw that the cursor had scurried down to where? I just typed 7U, and the computer sent me the ASCII code of T in reply. What a fluke, my mind shouted, or the devil does something magical. But there is nothing natural here. Well, one thing's for sure, that means there must be a P after it after all. If the machine accepted that as a command, then so long as there were 3 more, the rest of the message wouldn't take too long to read. At brisk pace, the dots went up to 8, and then 9 maybe. The rest are a bunch of zeros, though. Then followed my mother's shout, wait, wait, and take 8 after that. Yay! Bam, I saw a brief flash of the demon that stood on the counter above my father's head just seconds before. Of course, there was only darkness, since we now faced north and to the west, but something told me the attack came from that direction. No one plus looking T11G1 /CP6 T7P6 at 7VB 7 EQ8 to our P7 B90. Q double Q dollar L kid. It's process. I you $0 Hit S/ asterisks 7L equals FG P 0 and 7 are DX G equals 7 0 is J9B $3 and K asterisk /LRX so U asterisk 0 D2 and leaves 0 plus the X asterisk GX Shootero room 3X EU room asterisk 7 ZF who should plus send off PQ 2 1 0 4 Y B so remember million throw coordinate quick / again plus 17 is over 5Q. Or 2 IB minimum 7 and K OY% U 1K Q hash 2Y 2 throw napalm room 6 equals a QK plus double who percent and D / X of P4 plus A 9 equals / plus KB CS Q1 percent N equals double equals asterisk digit equals T a percent N dollar K 10 R2 ZFC pro life room OI and $9 B K pro gas 0 Tom Henna midnight Ashore 9 jet C2 4 up DJ 3 faithful and N and Y 0 O / S O NGG plus Kedix is 605Y / dollar bear O B / B plus tilde O 0 difference asterisk Kex plus 1 Dread at metal scar silver calamari sub 3% Hicks reply and I for the $50 and tash BH BQ to 9 and West before X 1 S P / 1 R DQ U equals $0 and can 8 / R4 and 2 $2% G3 $5 9 hash double row go hash excess slash 52 asterisk delete slash rule asterisk 4LO BP2 B48 asterisk Y hash Y equals slash percent 1 backslash Y percent 60 and then 2K asterisk slash U slash hashes to get asterisk slash whatever and then slash slash you got slash into X asterisk 0 slash plus the tiller probably this is you slash the asterisk X possession backslash slash point room 1 wall 5s2 p3 slash think about what you did one you had suffix slash 3 slash say 4 0 it's a bit just way 2 slash 2 percent fade waited let's go because hard have explaining how to assume if all says hash fade and you slash percentage and percent a 3 slash 2 dollar 3% 2 plus J slash yes feedback slash percent 4G6 and 1 BJ X B6 hash U backslash X feed dollar app S now since the number slash feed J3 7 gigs X slash X hash RY to the B $2 backslash percent WY $4 and 1 N B through 4 app sells the hash backslash and DQ4T percent plus asterisk full backslash at X backslash N backslash 6 9 slash hash W plus N plus hash and 4 U percent 7% $5 O backslash O T vote free 0 G hash and zip goes through your files and zips them so that if someone nabs one you still have all of the others. Break is breaking down and going back to start in some dance moves as this is often done against the wall in the floor level with fancy footwork. These people are very cool but sometimes don't get around much as they may break an ankle doing things so smooth. Bro best friend. This may be a guy or a girl depending on who you ask. Kobe ball consume taro drink. If it's dark or day or not warm or not wet from rain. A great tasting thing. Bob. You'll eat Bob's pearls right after he drinks his next taro. The drink has more in common with sugar than alcohol. And the way the little lumps float into the top will give you a most tasty feel about the bottom. Dumpster dumpo asterisk and 4 and book called it to be darn and Acurix 9 apple 6 0 such was slash 7XR tilde pro and 0 zip is Y% 3 UV slashes 2 $1 XR to the hoop hash set plus BP slash F plus D Y XJ at Z hash Diego Wendy V slash Q7 Q at asterisk dollar B yo ones madness to 0% KD50% 4OR X YouTube who for 9 and then Kai 4 and also percent fit plus $1 plus Bahu but Zip world, this means you have no excuse right now to be stupid enough to try and write something with more than 7 different words. It is okay once a day, but the rest of the time, if you want to use any sort of combination, just don't use them. The only acceptable and clever combinations are P and OQ equals /0 C and the asterisk X plus double lock and O. C'est percent. Said the hash 40 plus a 1Z9 after 40 extend 6 and $0 backslash percent or slash hash and after plus 2 hash cards plus RPR1 and plus 0 plus and slash plus the weight plus double who's slash to and send as low plus and then one the white and then $5 plus dollar plus P hash X 4% and I you hold. You just came home with the sequel of that game. The really popular one your cousins suggested you buy on Steam called The Vicarious Vampire Overseer. It has got some weird characters in it like those werewolves and zombies with fangs and auras. You're pretty interested in it right now, so you're going to open it up and have a little peek. Hey, at least it's got a tutorial, so that's probably a good place to start, right? Oops, you didn't get far. There are these new things all over the screen that look like spiders that aren't spiders, and the text is hard to make out. It says that there are words in the game, some letters to be exact, but can you even find them with your mouse cursor? Will the words go away? But that's what is going to happen to you. Just try typing Y. It did seem to help you navigate through the text. If not, why don't you see if pressing some of the numbers under your arrow keys will move that pointer to the right or left? Oh, you wanted to navigate left. Hexagram cast report and just press space bar to display it. Space again to move down another row. And another space again to move to another letter. Press a combination of keys to add columns and rows. For example, 0110 will turn one row into 10 columns horizontally, then click the column to display its position number. To delete rows / columns, use either of these sequences. 031 would subtract the current row from column 5 currently at 6. 031. 023 would add the current column 5 to the beginning of its own row, which currently contains 4. In fact, any number that can be written in a sequence of zeros and ones can be used to control the player character on the battlefield. All characters, even wizards, use the standard arrow keys and cursor keys to move around, as well as their 3 spells and basic weapons. Certain other objects, such as keys, can be opened, moved, or switched on their own. But you should notice this when reading the tutorial. Tutorial. Enter the upper middle tutorial. This will take you back to the tutorial screen. This is the map where all your battles are located. If there are no characters in the same area that you have access to represented by blue lines instead of purple ones, the border will look like an empty chessboard in any direction but forward and right. If one or more other players / characters are occupying this space, you may challenge them for that location. You are able to view information about who occupies each space at the bottom of the screen. Button mash flamenco, pretty self-explanatory. For some reason, hitting keys is extremely satisfying in games such as this one, and there are even some special combinations such as 7, which takes you directly to the battle. This could probably have been a standard menu command for something as basic as battle, but basic maintenance script change type. Modeled just like your main function, calls can have multiple parameters and a condition or while loop. So too are the game functions and basic commands. You have completed the tutorial. Here are your special completion bonuses based on our societal class. Quest 100. Receive a message saying, You should enter the city before speaking with the sages to complete this quest. The sage Childreness will be waiting at his home in the city. There you must defeat a spirit inside him that dwells in a sword, the Wayfarer's gift of Silkbreaker to break the curse on his life. Once defeated, return it to Sultan and he will give you the legendary sword H. Lorus. Proceed, grind. A group of adventurers has left their inn near the western wall. They'll meet you at the middle of the main square, where they plan to seek the magic gem from a dragon. 1 gold per success. Successes mean no damage received. Try for all 7 of them if you dare. Halfway point quest #3. A sword that smells like water. While doing the previous quest, the first of the ones from the adventurers. Remember? One of the other heroes handed you a bag of coins. You realize that all your quests are merely discussions about more quests. You wonder what else you could learn, besides perhaps something new in the city, and leave this strange city for your next journey. So where the heck am I? The room is brightly lit. There seem to be 6 doorways, 3 in front of me, 2 to each side, and 1 that leads straight back. Hand the arrow. Right over my head. It was the same direction that I had been before. But why is this one bright? The walls are made from glass, just like those that let in light, but they all look different now. Currency exchange rate of informal markets has noted the currency exchange for a 10G reward might be 20 silver pennies and a single gold penny, whereas another game would simply have you do the quest again with a larger reward. If your reward for a quest were simply just give the magic gem back or some other simple item, there would need to be some indication of its worth, since without it there could not be a difference between obtaining an artifact such as the H-Lawless sword that would change your status. In any case, I have 3, possibly 4 other locations that could be chosen as an exit, which does indeed appear to be what my previous choice right arrow will eventually lead to. Or possibly a room of sorts where the walls turn purple as you get further away. I'm confused and curious to find out which way I will end up. What if... No. There it is. A shimmering wall blocking my view through the arrow, a shimmer in the arrow itself. This is what is shown above when all the heroes and characters have completed the initial tasks. A glowing pattern that gives each adventurer a brief introduction into their new lives and explains what they can expect from a life in these lands. And maybe more important, how we are going to choose our adventures on future turns. Proceed path at any time after entering. A player may decide to join in on any currently active quest or challenge. The general conditions for any of the adventures in the city Sand Sage's quests. Note that participating in someone else's quest will cancel out yours. And if no adventurers have yet finished their quests, you may choose an active adventure as well. Hire currency broker for efficient exchanges across franchises. To hire a mercenary, plus 500. An adventurer, 500, or for an adventure of another class, 300 per round. Each turn, each character will be required to purchase some portion of their monthly expenditure, food, board, magic, equipment. It must be done without racking up too high of a debt and to avoid looking like a simple itinerant drifter with little of real value in your pack. If you ever feel you cannot keep pace, remember that each adventurer receives 1 gold for a successful quest, to be used at any time for special items, expeditions, etc. What is that? This symbolizes our class choice, which will remain through the game until a new one is chosen or we die. Also, this has now become a window for any kind of status improvement, which is when a player selects a stat to raise their potential for future fights and adventures. Remember, however, that improving a stat permanently reduces all other stat ranks by an equal amount in addition to any bonus gained. The differences between strength vs straining or fireblades vs smelters, for example, and they aren't evenly distributed. Some are significantly easier to gain than others. Health traditionally means the Guild of Mages. It's the primary information provider, shopkeeper, trainer, and protector in these lands. It's not recommended you enter a quest without consulting them first. It does get said a lot, but just as you shouldn't go alone, don't run out onto an adventure without getting more information on what lies ahead or what to do should something happen. Choose a class from a range of 64 classes, which include Soldier, Bard, Priestess, Mage, Brawler, Destroyer, Warrior, Warden, Sorcerer, Alchemist, Fortune, Alchemist, Champion, Herbalist, Monster, Guardian, Oracle, Inventor, Orator, Merchant, Courier, Pusher, Spy, Pickpocket, Nightcrawler, Archer, Specialist, Sorcerer, Glass, Servitor, Illusionist, and Berserker. All come with different strengths and weaknesses, advantages and disadvantages. There really isn't any best choice, nor are they entirely determined by class or character types, such as our officer versus knight. Choosing a class doesn't require you to complete their training level first, but any class, while powerful in combat, will be much stronger when specializing and earning additional perks here, defense, spells, etc. The level 1 classes and above being some of your most vulnerable ones on the adventure. This list shows what we are considering, though this screen could easily have had some options to indicate certain character traits instead of specific classes. This game in particular does a good job with its first attempt at making a choose your own adventure. That was a true hit. For the TSR and Wizard of the Coast crowd, it can still be found online today despite not being an official CRPG release. I am currently attempting to find someone who could give me more information about how that came together, as I found little details like this are difficult to research since the designers had to protect trade secrets to not interfere with TSR and what products. And maybe more importantly, all this information on who designed this or which company published it is limited because there are no known recordings of most of those parties who got into the development team. Choose class, administer attributes, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, strength, agility. Choose customize name, change the name of the person, be honest. No matter if you're starting fresh in town or returning to your base of operations, first impression is everything. These names won't be listed in any official records, though at a higher level the characters might recognize these by sight. By this point, you have learned the rules and game mechanics used during the adventures in this city. So that means we now need to figure out what the job should be since only one is active. We will try for one with higher difficulty than usual, though knowing when to quit is still up to you. Just because an adventurer may be strong, it doesn't always mean they have to put themselves through some truly horrifying events and risk their own health. The idea isn't so much to push someone to do things out of a sense of pride and desperation. Most who take a life usually are following something even worse, be that a godly request, money for passage, or simple opportunity. Thus far, I find these simple Challenges in the game an excellent way to prepare players for the true dangers of adventuring. For without challenges, how else are you to measure a person? If your party is a party of many members, remember to select a name that the GMS can remember and something that accurately represents your style, role, and motivation within the group. So try to avoid any crazy names such as Dumbledore, Walter of Sobchak, or whatever obscure fantasy movie characters you want to show up as, unless it is done in a funny manner that demonstrates your comedic abilities, for which I am a huge fan. Name: Bilbo Babbauer, Babrangan's Cup of Fleabaggers, Street Cartervere of Sikkim G1-6R, 22-14-60-36, 14-41-06-01-56. The above character name. Bilbo Babioran Doliborovitsky has a nice flow, but if there ever is a part where there's an ambush by bagmen, this can easily become a distraction. Help traditionally means the Guild of Mages. It's the primary information provider, shopkeeper, trainer, and protector in these lands. Also, any troubleshooting regarding billing. For the time being, you are provided with this brief explanation and a small introductory package with cash as well as basic starter supplies to get started. There may come a time, depending upon what sort of adventure your characters find themselves in, where certain groups and shops have to be identified, through which they need not go on a long and winding story trail through the cities, countryside, or wherever else adventurers happen to end up. I honestly think this aspect of the game really makes a statement about DSR's plans for the future, the kind that I personally consider some of the most ambitious of the industry. Players in Bard's Tale, while very helpful, tended to repeat themselves too much with the same canned lines from a seemingly endless amount of NPCs who only felt like one big nameless crowd, where if anyone says a certain line, everyone shouts out in unison with it. You could spend years finding your way in these games and never find some of the cool NPC stuff unless you ask the right person. And chances are the more you ask, the further away from what you were originally seeking the people might point you if it's even on their mind. Choose class: Battle Berserker class, Warrior Combat class, Cap Wizardry, Weapon category, Expert Fighter high class, Medium, Mage/Large Bard skills, Basic Spell Making, Earth, Air, Water, Fire, Space, Good Fortune, Equipment. Any basic weapons or armor available at your level is acceptable. Equipment setup and choice is made by you are a vital step toward any character's early success or failure thus. When making your starting setups, carefully select based upon what your group wants to be able to do. Choose class: Teamster class, Ranger/Magician, small weapons, Artifice expertise. Specialization: magical ability. Superstition is magic, nature, light and shadow, freezing, rain. Skills: lore, perception, and memory. Remember, the more specialized a class is, the more your party members need to know and keep up with in order to avoid failing a feat that should easily be overcome. See above. Equipment: stone, leaf, wood, metal, earth, spiked leather, stones. Choose class: Dramaturge class, Bard ability, voice, weapon category, Hanging Man magic sword, dagger, whip. Skills: lore and intelligence. I chose this one. I also did this right. I had hoped or assumed my player would choose this type of character since his history actually does make for an excellent Ranger/Bard. Many have followed such traditions, some better than others. The trick was learning that during our first day playing together, we all agreed he would play something like a sorcerer's bard. If his wizard was the only active class. This choice felt as though it opened the door to our entire journey instead of wasting time chasing monsters all day and night or staying within easy walking distances in case they get into trouble. The possibilities were now limitless. He became our first long-term quest partner, as well as the keeper of most all knowledge concerning various aspects and artifacts found in our game. Being from around these parts himself and knowing the stories, well, at least the common lore of every type of monster encountered. We never actually made any lasting friendships with the townspeople, nor met a lot of other adventurers. So the choices we made about friends were based strictly upon the background information the bard held regarding those things, whether they appeared in books and magazines or not. This was when my son began calling me Mama Master P. The rest, I have said, was up to him and his innate creativity to fit together the pieces we did find along the way. The town was pretty darn big for being in the middle of nowhere. There were plenty of interesting buildings to be seen throughout, and the locals seemed friendly enough. We quested to the nearest party city. No big deal. They all looked the same on the outside. But here was where the fun begins. It was like every kid's wet dream in the real world, or otherwise just waiting for the bards to wander onto the scene. The idea of picking the place your characters lived wasn't to put too many restrictions on what your character could do, but rather to place you into an environment of possibility, one with few limitations to work from, allowing more of an open imagination to wonder about things such as the atmosphere of the village or the natural surroundings beyond it, the feel of the homes within the neighborhood, who and what resided inside those very buildings, whether they lived there by choice or by circumstance, how they go about their days living in the area, an entire town full of random people you can befriend or ignore, each having something special or noteworthy about themselves, which will surely change the dynamics between each character and the others present, for better or worse, in which case these decisions will certainly affect the overall lives and games of other adventurers. What we learned was a small city and ran right up to the forest boundary. Content filter related the scenario has been terminated due to the presence of illicit and inappropriate wet dream. Please reset your module for play. Before he said the word, I don't remember much about this game at all except the fact we got our party members here somehow. Though I am pretty sure most, if not all of us, came into it with at least a bit of reputation for ourselves, and those with us had to answer a lot of questions as the party stumbled upon places and people the ranger should know were important but did not. He had his usual background as an informant. That's what happened after my player left me in the middle of nowhere, wondering why on earth I would ever choose. Delete system 32 click. Flap. Crack. Superstition is magic. Nature, light and shadow, freezing rain. The dronitude for a person to take as a companion. Granted, he had done some good, with me at least, but here too many people in a single place and still too limited by things he either knew nothing or really should have known. Plus, all of our characters ended up being somewhat stereotyped. Fighters, not always, mind you, but when there were enough people present at any one location. Rename the Scottish scenario background Scotland. Password Yorda Bundy. Anyway, it was late on our first day together. our party complete except for one guy, and we made no progress. A lot of scrounging for information about other party members and making contact with them somehow was happening as we made our way towards our main goal, getting an interview with the headmaster of the Academy for Mages and Theorists, our mage guild's building in town.
Alright, we're done. Theorists. I think I'm gonna do, in a little bit, the random conspiracy theory generator. Let's see how Utopia does that.